Continuing completed classics.
Something's gone wrong.
Hello and welcome to the first and hopefully last lost episode of the follow-up Showdown. I am your host, Paul Getz, and well, this was a full episode that we recorded with some fabulous guests. However, unfortunately, we tried a new microphone setup, and long story short, it didn't quite work out. So today I will be recounting everything I could recall about that night and that episode, as well as what I have written down in my notes here to help me along. Now, how am I going to do that without being incredibly boring? Well, my girlfriend, Kim Seltzer, is joining me today in an effort to let me know if I'm being boring and try to keep me from doing that. Kim, are you ready?
Yeah, can I have a note already. You said you're going to recount everything that you can remember from that night and that episode?
Yes.
What do you mean that? The whole night? That has nothing to do with the episode?
I mean, I think that there's some pertinent details to be shared. You know, you'll see. You'll see.
I'm doubtful, but yeah.
You're
Yeah,
blocking
fine.
the microphone with your chips and water also.
Well, there's not a lot of space here.
And you picked a really bad seat for this.
Yeah, because I wanted to encourage you not to make it too long.
Okay, well,
That's why I picked the seat.
yeah, I think
And
it's going to be
that's why I
too
brought
long
my
for your
chips.
taste no matter what. Okay. So the reason that I'm recounting this episode at all is just because we're not going to be able to do it again, and we watched a bad movie for it, and I want the credit for all of us. The movie that we did was 1985's The Jewel of the Nile, sequel to the 1984 Robert Zemeckis film Romancing the Stone, starring Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. And our guests were a pair of very on-theme adventure explorers, Bethany Guerrero and Drew Unser. You know them, right, Kim?
Yeah, what'd they say when you told them you lost the episode?
Oh, they said, all the more reason to record another one. No worries, my friend. Got to work out kinks in every new project.
Wow,
So-
that's really nice.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice people. Not only are they nice people, they are also the hosts of a web travel show of sorts called Oddity Odysseys, in which they explore hard to traverse, lesser known or otherwise exciting locales in and around the California area. I've never missed an episode, and it's pretty great.
Yeah, it is really good.
Yeah, they're really good, and they host as well as anybody on any of those travel shows. They're very, very charming. So another reason that this is a very sad loss. Okay, so some announcements made at the top of the episode before we start getting into the movies. In our last podcast, I brought up the idea that we haven't gotten a good sequel, 20 years later sequel, like a sequel made so long after the first one. When we were recording this podcast, Travis brought up Blade Runner 2049 as a sequel that did do that successfully, and I totally agree. So I redact my original statement and give credit to Travis for that. So
Okay.
this was the first episode where we announced Lauren as a official host of the show. So I guess I can read the little speech that I made, or does that sound boring?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways, Lauren is an official host of the show now.
You wrote it down?
I did. Well, I wrote. Yeah, these are my notes left over from when we did the episode.
How long is the speech?
It's short, 2 sentences.
No, that's not a speech.
you want to hear it or not?
Yeah, I guess only 2 sentences.
Okay, I am thrilled to
I'm gonna
announce for
eat
the
my chips while you say it.
great. And I'm thrilled to announce for the first time as an official host of the show, our indispensable third wheel, the barrel to our lock and stock, the Ralph to our Jack and Joan, if you will, Lauren Picorni.
I don't get it.
Right. Okay. So yes, maybe this is a good time for me to, since we don't have Travis here, I'm going to try to do the 2 Travis McMaster minutes and explain everything that happens in both movies very quickly. Okay. So are you ready? Are you willing? Can you time me?
Yeah, let me. Can I use
Here,
your phone?
I'll set you up here.
Okay, go.
Okay, Kathleen Turner plays Joan Wilder. She's a romance novelist bored with her life. She gets a call, she gets a package from her dead brother-in-law, which it contains a map. An evil general comes to her apartment and kills her landlord trying to find the map. She then gets a call from her sister that she's being held ransom for the map, and she has to Columbia to collect her. She's being held captive by two cousins, Ira and Ralph. Ralph is played by Danny DeVito. Kathleen Turner gets there to try to get her sister. The general misleads her, puts her on the wrong bus, which is taking her out into the wild of Columbia. The bus crashes into a car being driven by Michael Douglas. His character's Jack Colton. He's an adventurer and he's a bird salesman. He helps her to get away from the general. They bond. She agrees to pay him to get her safely through the countryside. Over the course of the film, he finds out about the map and the treasure that it leads to and has some interest in that. And so while they are sort of falling in love, it becomes questionable whether or not he will do the right thing by her and help her get her sister back, or whether he'll make off with the treasure. They ultimately do get her sister back. Danny DeVito gets arrested, but his cousin gets away. The general gets killed, and the diamond, the jewel that they're all after, gets eaten by a crocodile. In the end, Jack goes after the crocodile to try to get the diamond. Kathleen Turner goes back to her life and then finds out that he comes back to her, having sold the diamond for a boat that they can sail around the world in. Jewel of the Nile, the sequel, is about 6 months into their sailing around the world.
Yeah, 20 seconds.
Oh my God. Don't tell me that. I need that time. Oh shit. She is approached by a Arab ruler who wants her to write his biography. Jack doesn't want her to go, but she goes anyway. It turns out the ruler is evil and he's lying to her about his policies and stuff like that. The cell that
the time.
Okay, this is much harder than I give Travis credit for. Anyways, I tried my best. The Jewel of the Nile is not a good movie, and so that one matters less than the first one. So moving on to my notes about the first movie. This was Lauren's pick. She's a big fan of this movie, Romancing the Stone. I had not seen it before, but I agree it's pretty charming. I think that you would like it. I think I told you that when I watched it.
Yeah, I don't think I'll watch it though.
Yeah, okay. Some interesting notes on this movie. It was the only produced screenplay from the writer Diane Thomas. She had been working as a waitress in Malibu when Michael Douglas optioned her script for $250,000, allowing her to quit her job. Sadly, Thomas died in a car accident while she was working on her next project, which was with Steven Spielberg and would eventually become the movie Always. She died in a car accident driving a Porsche that Michael Douglas bought for her as a thank you for the movie. Yeah, pretty sad.
Wow, that is sad.
Yeah. The director of the movie was Robert Zemeckis. Studio executives were so sure that the film would flop that him even being involved in it got him preemptively fired from directing Cocoon, which he was also signed on for, and he was replaced with Ron Howard. However, Romancing the Stone turned out to be Fox's biggest success that year, which allowed Zemeckis to sort of get carte blanche, and the next year he was able to make his own personal project, Back to the Future. So we have Romancing the Stone ultimately to thank for Back to the Future, which is pretty cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, you like Back to the Future. You should be more excited about that.
Yeah, but I don't need to know someone's whole journey. I just want to see their good movies.
Okay. Actors' notes on that movie. Michael Douglas was intrigued by the script primarily because it was an opportunity to exhibit his rock climbing skills that he had honed as a teenager. And he does. He really does. There's one moment in the movie in which he's climbing what almost looks like a flat wall, and he falls halfway down and is able to catch himself with just his grip. So pretty good rock climbing skills.
Yeah, but it's not cool because it's like it could have been a stuntman.
But it wasn't.
Like it was like he just wanted to show off to the people on set.
Well, and at the end of the world, I mean,
but the world doesn't know. You and like I guess your listeners know, and now me.
Well, but maybe in interviews he was like, that's really me doing that up there. I would argue, I love Danny DeVito, as you know, but I would argue that Ralph is a totally unnecessary character in this movie. because he's not really the bad guy, and you're kind of seems like you're supposed to root for him, but then he gets arrested in the end anyway. It's really just kind of a mess of a character. But he does have a really great piece of physical comedy where he's trying to take a wanted poster of himself down and he falls over a counter. It's pretty great.
Nice. This is all from the episode?
We did definitely talk about all this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure you're staying on track. Seems like it's been half hour already.
Well, it hasn't. Also, just as an aside, for the original Minute with McMaster that we recorded for this podcast, Travis, for the first time after some criticism of all of his Minute with McMasters, mostly from me, Travis tried writing down what he wanted to say for his minute, because normally he just goes off the cuff.
Yeah.
But he also messed that up, in my opinion, because all he wrote was like a little synopsis that ended with like, will they make it out alive? Rather than recounting everything that happens. Exactly. He didn't give a summary. He just gave a synopsis, and he didn't even do it for the second one. So,
well, I'm glad we can take this opportunity to criticize him when he can't defend himself.
Well, I criticized him then, and it would have been part of the episode anyway, so I don't feel so bad about that. All right, moving on to The Jewel of the Nile, the movie that we're all here to talk about, or we were there to talk about. While The Romancing the Stone has a 84% on Rotten Tomatoes, Jewel of the Nile has a 48% and deserves every bit of that failure. It was a commercial success, ultimately, profitable movie, but panned by critics, and deservedly so. So the origin of this movie is kind of interesting. Fox...
Kind of.
Well, okay.
Let's get into it.
I find it quite interesting. Fox, like I said, Romancing the Stone was their biggest movie of 1984. They were having a tough time at the time, so they wanted another hit. So, in order to get a sequel to Romancing the Stone made as soon as possible, they exercised a sequel option in the contracts of both Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, who were essentially forced to do the sequel to the movie right away. Kathleen Turner in particular was resistant. She had script approval, and during pre-production, she tried to quit the movie and was threatened with a $25 million lawsuit, which essentially forced her to stay on board.
Messed up.
Yeah, really messed up. And really, I think the main thing that works really, really well about Romancing the Stone is that the chemistry between the two of those leads is what I would call electric. It really works for me. Didn't work for Travis and Lauren, which is insane, but Drew and Bethany were definitely on my side when it came to that. But,
sure.
And also Lauren likes it, so I don't know why she would like it if she didn't think they had chemistry. But whatever. They definitely do in the first one, and then in the second one, it is just gone. It's almost like you can tell they hate each other. They spend most
Do they hate each other?
Well, I don't know if they hate each other in real life, because they go on to make another movie together, The War of the Roses, but in that movie they play a married couple that hates each other. So I guess it's possible. Either way, they spend a lot of the movie just kind of having them fighting so that they can't be romantic together. So they're just squabbling about different things throughout. And then at the end, they get back together. But it's like, by that point, who cares? It's kind of like a Ross and Rachel situation where it's like, if you're just going to make each other miserable, I don't want you together type of thing.
Yeah, but I did want them to end up together.
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess I did at the time, but
yeah.
In retrospect, I think it was the wrong move.
Well, in retrospect, there's a lot of problems, but you still ultimately want them to end up together.
Really? I would say I don't feel that way anymore.
Well, okay.
Anyway, back to Jewel of the Nile. Robert Zemeckis did not return to direct. He was busy with Back to the Future, so directing went to Louis Teague, best known for The Lady in Red and Cujo. And he was simultaneously making the movie Cat's Eye, another Stephen King project at that same time. Diane Thomas was still alive when this movie was written, but she was busy with Steven Spielberg, so the writing of Jewel of the Nile went to Mark Rosenthal and Lawrence Koner, who would go on to work on Star Trek VI and Superman 4. So completely different sensibilities going into this.
So boring.
Those movies?
Yeah, it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't think you would like those movies.
Yeah.
For sure. Danny DeVito was only in the sequel because it was in his contract that he had to be given the opportunity to be in the sequel. And while, as I said, he doesn't work in the first movie, he has absolutely no reason to be in the second movie. So
too much contract talk.
okay, all right, moving on. Fair enough. Last, it's not a fun fact, but also,
I just said, I said it's not going to be fun.
Well, it's another sad fact. Not only did the original screenwriter of Romancing the Stone die before this movie, the sequel premiered, 3 members of the production team, the production designer, and the production manager all died in a plane crash while scouting locations in Morocco for Jewel of the Nile.
Oh, so it's cursed.
So it was a very problematic production, that's for sure.
Well, isn't it kind of nice that the writer died, because then they didn't have to see it be such a flop?
I suppose, but she didn't write it, so it wouldn't have affected her at all.
Oh.
I mean, I guess her legacy
I
tarnished.
guess it's usually not that nice when someone dies.
No, not nice. Very, very tragic, for sure. Okay, so in terms of existing sequels, there was meant to be a 3rd installment called The Crimson Eagle, which would have been about Jack and Joan, along with their 2 children, going to Thailand and being blackmailed into stealing Oppressor's statue. It was put into development and never made. So that's just
okay.
That's just there for listeners who would be interested in that. Okay, so then moving into the pitches that we made on that night. I asked everybody in the circle, should there have been a sequel to Romancing the Stone at all?
What'd they say? Oh my god, what'd they say?
I believe it was a unanimous no. It has a really nice ending, tied up in a lovely bow. You don't really need anything else, so that's what I would...
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Doesn't need another movie. Doesn't need a podcast.
Okay, so then the question of should it be a prequel or a sequel if you're going to do a sequel? I believe most people said sequel. However, Drew and myself had prequel pitches. Drew's only pitch, I believe, was a prequel about Joan's brother-in-law who sent her the treasure map in the first place and who was married to the sister who was kidnapped. His name was Eduardo, and we just don't really ever get to learn anything about him. So Drew's proposal was that there be a prequel about that character called Romancing Eduardo.
Good name.
That was his proposal. Yes. I enjoy that name, and I think I would have enjoyed that movie. I mean, not much to go on, but definitely seemed like a super interesting person.
Okay.
In bed with some criminals, perhaps, but treasure maps to jewels and stuff like that. That's pretty intriguing. My prequel proposal was just sort of a base idea of
relax
of the story of Ira and Ralph. All I really had for that was a title, which was Cousins in Cahoots.
Oh,
yeah,
I don't like it.
Why?
Doesn't even sound like a movie. What movie sounds like that?
Oh, Nuns on the Run.
Yeah, a movie I've never heard of.
Well, it's a movie, so anyways, gotcha.
Gotcha, I'm not gonna watch it.
None of these are real. Oh, Nuns on the Run?
No, I meant well, yeah, I'm not gonna watch that either.
Okay, that's fine. I don't think it's supposed to be very good. I think it's about male criminals who dress up as nuns to escape the law.
Okay.
Could have fit right into Cousins in Cahoots. Moving on. Let's get right into the pitches so that I can stop boring you, even though this is an impossible task.
We just did get right into the pitches.
Well, that was the prequel pitches. Now we're moving into the real pitches. Lauren's pitch, I believe, caught up with them while they were sailing around the world and back again. I know Jack got kidnapped by some evildoers, and then it was up to Joan to, on her own, find him, track him down, and save him. And she called it Romancing Alone.
Should have been named Romancing the Joan.
I like Romancing Alone more, to be honest.
Come on. Let me get a pitch in here. Romancing the Joan.
Well, what's your pitch?
It's me. I play Joan.
You play the same character?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it's a prequel.
Okay.
What happens?
Well, let me hear some of your pitches, and then I'll take the best stuff from them.
All right. Travis's was a modern sequel that takes place today with an older Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, and it involved them as their characters behind the scenes of a movie being made of the novel written by the character Joan at the end of Romancing the Stone. So basically, a fictional movie being made about their characters. And behind the scenes, there's some sort of criminal activity going on that they're trying to avoid or circumvent while the other movie is being filmed. And it was called Hollywood Diamonds.
Not a good title, but pitch is okay.
Okay, nice. You like that one? Cool. Bethany's pitch was an untitled Romancing the Stone sequel co-starring Jessica Lange, in which it was about...
Untitled Jessica Lange project?
Yeah, that's kind of what I have written down. And it was about another woman who's a little bit more like Jack and sort of having his adventurous style coming in, and it having to be a thing where she's trying to steal Jack away from Joan, and Joan sort of like gets herself into trouble, trying to prove herself the more courageous, adventurous, and capable of the two women, I believe. Which I thought that was pretty good.
Okay.
However, the winning pitch was mine. And just in case anybody listening is keeping track, this makes 2 victories for me. I'm on a bit of a roll.
Oh, mark your scorecards, everyone. Everyone's writing it down.
Well, I'm just saying anyone who is keeping track, that's 2 for me. 2 have gone to guests, and 1 victory has gone to Travis. So, I don't really keep track of those things, but anybody who does keep track of those things, it's me too, Travis won. Anyway, moving on into what my pitch was. I have the, full thing written out here.
What? Everyone else gets just short summary and you get of just your memory, and then you get this whole long thing.
Well, first of all, I won. Stands to reason mine's the one that should be heard.
Yeah, when the winner makes the rules, that's how the rules go.
Okay, fine. So how about this? I will do an abbreviated version of my pitch from what I can remember, and you, for some extra fun, can tell me your pick of the winner.
Yeah, as long as it's brief.
Yes, it'll all be brief. Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so mine takes place about 6 months after they've sailed around the world and back again, which is a phrase that they use throughout the movie.
It's a phrase or it's a plan?
Well, it's their plan, but they use the phrase around the world and back again multiple times.
Stupid.
I mean, yeah, a little bit. So, so it's 6 months after they've done their adventures. Jack has settled into domestic life a little bit more than Joan expected. He's a little too comfortable. He doesn't seem to want to do the adventure stuff anymore, whereas she has this itch to do it that he's kind of ignoring.
He's gotten fat?
Maybe a little bit, yeah. Maybe a little pudjo. Based on the way Michael Douglas looks in the second one, he's all like tanned and he's always wearing like Miami Vice suits for no reason. I think he's a little superficial, so I don't know if he would have liked that. But anyway, yeah, okay. So Jack is like overly domesticated. Then this publisher / nonfiction author, Rex Corwin, who I picture being played by Michael Keaton. Burt Reynolds is my backup.
Mustache.
Burt Reynolds, yeah, but not Michael Keaton. Yeah, I guess Keaton with a mustache. It's perfect. So he approaches Joan, like offers her a book deal, but asks her to, like, part of the book deal is that she has to go to these exotic locales that he wants the book set in with him. She talks to Jack about it. Turns out this Rex guy is an old rival of Jack's. And I want to do a bit in there where his most famous book includes a story of a time that Rex bested Jack in some adventure they were doing. So Jack looks like a fool in it. Mm-hmm. Jack's kind of a jerk about it, which prompts Joan even more so to go. So she goes off with Rex, and Jack follows, sort of like tries to keep an eye on them, make sure things are above board, maybe even does some like things where he tries to sabotage their good time together, but they all backfire. So, a lot of the movie is these sort of like abusive comedic sequences.
Boyfriend.
Well, just an immature man, who never really been in a long-term relationship. Yeah, but that's yes, toxic, yes. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so eventually he sort of realizes he was wrong, tries to approach Joan and apologize, and as soon as he does, it's revealed that like Rex's guys kidnap him, and it turns out a lot of this was just sort of staged to bring Jack out of hiding so Rex could nab him and hand him over to this, like, some sort of powerful tyrant, like a sheik or something that they both wronged in the past, but who wanted Jack more as like a bargaining chip. So Jack ends up in captive. Joan has to save him. She breaks in, saves him. They have to escape the tyrant and ultimately Rex. In the end, Rex falls down a chasm or something. You don't quite know what happened to him, but he's out of the picture, at least for the end of the movie. And then, and then I'm thinking that there's an epilogue where Jack and Joan have a baby, and Jack, thinking that Joan still wants the adventurous lifestyle, makes some comment about taking the baby to Colombia or something. And Joan instantly turns on him. Our baby is never going anywhere near that hellhole. Do you understand me? We live a normal, safe lives from now on. You got that? Then she sort of calms down and says, Jack, do you think you'll miss the adventure? And Jack says, honey, you're all the adventure I could ever handle. So that's basically the movie I had. The title is Between a Rock and a Stone. Okay. Okay, so which one do you like the best?
Titles across the board, not great.
Well, that wasn't... I didn't ask that question.
But I would say probably the Hollywood one sounds the best.
Travis's pitch.
Yeah. Romancing the Hollywood.
Well, to be honest with you, I agree. Looking at these as just sort of base pitches, that one was probably the most captivating in my opinion. So
yeah,
for your money, Hollywood Diamonds by Travis McMaster is the winner.
Yeah, but if I'm investing or producing, I'm gonna require a title change.
Fair enough. But, and also, for our listeners, keeping in mind that when it was put to a room full of 5 people in the first place, my pitch, Between a Rock and a Stone, it won.
Okay, yeah, I don't think it... it's really fair to say who the winner was, because not everyone got to hear my pitch of Romancing the Joan, and that could have won.
I suppose that's true. Yes.
So yeah, I guess it's up in the air, is the conclusion. No winner, no clear winner, but probably leaning towards Romancing the Joan.
Very good. Well, I really appreciate your help today. I guess that's all I need to say about this episode. I am sorry we didn't have it for you this week, but we will have... We will have Drew and Bethany on for a future episode. They've already chosen a movie that they want to do, so we're very excited about that.
Announce the movie! Oh, what's you talking about? Oh, I want to try it.
Well, I just don't know when we're going to do it, so I don't want to whet anybody's appetite way too early,
Okay.
Anyway, we will have them back on, and we're very much looking forward to that. In the meantime, do yourselves a favor and check out Oddity Odysseys. You can find that on YouTube or at oddityodysseys.com. Next week's going to be a regular one, and hopefully we won't have this kind of trouble again. Thank you, Kim, for helping to keep things moving along.
Yeah.
And I hope those chips are as delicious as they sound.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Cool.
They're not hot anymore.
All right, well, thanks again. Have a good one.
Why are you waving at the screen?
I'm waving at the mic.
Yeah. That's weird.
On the next follow-up showdown.
Today's selection, 1994's The Return of Jafar. How do we feel about the movie?
Lauren, this was your first viewing.
No, it was, I did not think it was good.